Hey, Shalom, I want to start off as always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakadash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. It's on, just having to think, I want to title it, K.I.S.S, that statement, keep it simple, stupid, right? And this is something that goes, like, the reason it even came up, because I was just doing my work now, and I was basically thinking of that concept of like just keeping things simple, right? Because in the line of field that I'm in, you can overcomplicate things to the point that no one understands what you're talking about, right? But these scriptures, and people do the same thing with these scriptures. Person that comes to mind, of course, these are which called vocab Malone, and people of that ilk that basically like to just make the scriptures more complicated than they have to be, right? Basically speaking, words that aren't that are difficult, right? Let's grab that, because at the end of the day, it's scripture says, "Let all things be done unto edification." Right. So it says, 1 Corinthians 14:9, it says, "So likewise ye, except ye utter by the tongue words easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? For ye shall speak it into the air." Right. So it goes into this thing of like, speaking, of the tongues. I believe that's what it says. This whole scripture is, this chapter is going into, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so, verse 6, right? If you speak in other tongues, what does it mean if you're speaking Spanish to English speakers? That ain't edifying, right? At the end of the day, all things, just grab that. It says, 1 Corinthians 14:26, so actually the same chapter, where it says, "How is it then, brethren, when ye come together, every one of you hath a psalm, hath a doctrine, hath a tongue, hath a revelation, hath an interpretation?" Right? Everyone's trying to come in with something deep. Oh, look at what I know. Look at what I look. It ain't about what we know. It's about teaching this doctrine, right? It's teaching the truth. Being a watchman, and letting people know what's about to happen, right? Which is the downfall of this current kingdom. That's to let all things be done unto edifying. Okay, so that's our main aim. Our main aim is to edify. Okay, so that's why we're meant to be speaking things in words that are easy to be understood. Because you know what, when you start speaking, all of these big words, like, once again, your vocab Malone's in them, right? You might as well be speaking a different language. You might as well be speaking a different language. You got a term in English called legalese, right? As in legal and then ese at the end. Okay, and what is the whole concept of legalese? To basically bamboozle those that aren't initiated into that into the realms of politics, etc. Right? Or rather, in the realms of law, right? To basically bamboozle you, so you don't know what's going on. Here it is, they can say something that is straight up wickedness, but then they'll say it in such a way where you don't even know what you're consenting to, right? And that's witchcraft, and that's the ways of Esau. So when we come into this thing, we're supposed to be speaking words easy to be understood. I'll grab a couple of precepts and I'll close it out. Right, it's 2 Corinthians 1:12. So, "For our rejoicing is this, right, the testimony of our conscience, that in simplicity and godly sincerity." When you look up this here word here, simplicity, haplotes in the Greek, G572, right? Singleness, right? Singleness, simplicity, sincerity, mental honesty, right? And once again, when these people are speaking all these big words, right, who really are they trying to please? Right, they're trying to go off this whole, "Oh, look at me, I'm so smart. Look at all of the degrees and qualifications that I've got," in the hope, right, that people can follow them. Right, but the thing is, with the scriptures, the scriptures is supposed to be what takes you, right, and what and what it, invigorates you to follow this truth, not the way someone's, is all like speaking. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it helps, right, when the scriptures are basically being brought out with spirit. It does help, but ultimately, right, it's the scriptures themselves that are supposed to captivate you, not an individual. Oh, I like that individual, because what if that individual falls out? What happens then? And we've had that in this truth, right? Certain individuals that were that were a cult of personality, right? And then people follow them because of the cult of personality. No, we've got to be in this thing for our own sake. Okay, scriptures talk about let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. It says, Sirach 13:23, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. Right, so that's why they believe in all of these titles, these doctors of divinities, these, this and the other. Which once again, that is the way of this world, right? That's not what these scriptures are about, right? Um, Let me see if I can find this. Yeah. See if I can, yeah, let's just jump start from this. John 7:14 says, now about the midst of the feast Yahushua went up into the temple and taught, and the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned, i.e., having never gone to all of these things that these things of prestige of that world, and also in this world, right? People look at us with confusion, like, obviously starting off with the apostles on down, right? About like, yo, how y'all know all of these things? You never went to theological cemeteries, as Apostle Tahar calls them, right? You never did this. So that's why they don't want to listen to what it is that we have to say, because they don't respect it, because we don't have certain accolades, we don't have certain titles to our name. But you read First Corinthians, the first chapter speaks about how the Lord, right, has chosen the foolish things of the earth to confound the wise. There's in the wisdom of this world. Okay. It says, verse 16, and Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. And that's it. We're not speaking our own words. Read Matthew 10. It speaks about how, in the time of in the time when we are to be sent out, and brought, rather, the time before, brought before like kings and rulers, says, take no thought what ye shall say, right? For I'll put my words in thy mouth. And that's it. We're speaking the Lord's words. Once again, that's why before we do these shows, we put up the prayers like, Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, put the spirit in me, to make an edifying video. Okay. So if any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High, whether I speak of myself. So it goes into into more things, but also that's a precept with Amos 3:7. Yahweh will do nothing, right? Which Yahweh is the name of the Most High, and Yahweh Shai is the name of his son, right? Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right? And that's yeah, precepts Amos 3:7. Yahweh will do nothing, right? But he will reveal his secret unto his servants, the prophets, right? So going back here, it says Rock 13:23, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Right. So when once again, starting off the apostles on down, despite us being the is the avant-garde, is that the word I want? Let me look up what that word means. Avant-garde. Avant Nah, that's not the word I want. So that's why you gotta. That basically means innovative, like innovation, right? But basically, with us, being basically the authority. Oh, that's the word. That's the right word, right? We're the son of the apostle and down. We're the authority on these scriptures. Yet people don't consider what it is that we have to say, right? So, but if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumbled, they will help to overthrow him. Yeah. So, if by any chance we say just the wrong word, right? You know, like for instance, if you know, if that in that example, if I'd basically used avant-garde without meaning, so oh, but he doesn't know what that word means, right? And then they'll do this thing. I forgot the psychological term, right? Where basically they'll just just could forget everything that it is that we've said because of that one mistake. Why? Because they're trying to find a reason, right, to not believe. But it's okay. Scripture says, "What if some did not believe? Shall that make the faith in the Most High without effect? God forbid." So cool. Don't believe, right? You're gonna be destroyed anyway, right? So yeah, let me finish these precepts. So did I finish this one? Right, it says, for our 2 Corinthians 1 and 12, for our rejoicing is this, the testimony of our conscience, that in simplicity and godly sincerity, not with fleshly wisdom, right? So not with your doctors of divinities, not with your, your accolades of this world, all right? Just but by the grace of the Most High, we have had our conversation in the world, and more abundantly to you would. As Proverbs 8 and 9, it says, they are all plain to him. Let me see if there's more on that. This is Proverbs 8 and 8. It says, all the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Right? So ultimately when we speak, right, and we speak the way that we speak, right, they are plain if the Most High has opened your eyes up to receive them. Okay, yeah, to some people, just, we can try break it down as simple as possible, right? But because they've not been given the eyes to see and to understand, right, it's just difficult. This, that's not what I'm talking about. You get certain people that just ain't meant to get it, right? Scripture says in 2 Corinthians 4 and 3, for if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Okay. It says 2 Corinthians 11 and 3, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Yahweh Shai. Right. So we're commanded not to be corrupted, right? But to to understand the simplicity in Yahweh Shai, because once again, well, these things ain't difficult. Like, these scriptures aren't difficult, right? Is that people like to add things to make it difficult, right? But it's all about the simplicity in Yahweh Shai. As and with wisdom one on one says, love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth. And we are, we are the judges of the earth. Okay, right? It's what do you call it? Scriptures talk about how Lord's gonna make us kings and priests, right? So we are the judges of the earth, right? It says, and that says, so we're supposed to love righteousness, right? That, which is why we yearn to, for this kingdom to be destroyed, right? Because this kingdom is filthy, right? 2 Peter 3:13 speaks about, how we seek a kingdom wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? It says, think of the Lord with a good heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him, right? So seek him, in simplicity, man, right? Not confusing things and making things more difficult than they have to be. So as always, Lord's word, I was edifying. Until the next time, I say shalom.